Hello everyone and welcome to week 9. I did my fingers, they weren't even on screen. Week 9 of the GBA D-League. I hope you guys are enjoying New York Empoleon's run here. We are 6-2. I know in the last video I said we were going to be facing Turbo and the Phoenix Midnights, but actually we will be facing Techno. It sounds like Turbo's like evil twin. Or maybe Turbo sounds like the evil one and Techno just sounds like the technological one. Anyway, Techno and the Carolina Pantherians. He is actually using exactly the same team Turbo would have been using. Turbo had some real life stuff come up and had to be replaced in the league. So we get to go in virtually blind in terms of who we are playing against. I don't really know his play style, don't know much about him. But hopefully this battle goes well. I hope you guys will enjoy it. And I encourage you guys to go check out both Turbo and Techno's channels. Links to both are in the description below. So if you do want to check out either of those, I encourage you to do that. As far as I understand, Techno is a really good battler. He put up a really good match against Leo last week. So that's really impressive on his part. So we are currently riding a modest 6-game winning streak right now, hopefully looking to continue that this week. I have not recorded a team builder in so long, so hopefully I remember what I'm doing here. His team is Kurum Black, Jirachi, Tapu Bulu, Nidoking, Azumarill, Alolan Persian, Emboar, Raichu, Masquerain, Mega Aerodactyl, and Claydol. Now his team is really scary. When Turbo had it and I was building for it, I was scared of it. And people talk about it as one of the best teams as far as just a well-drafted team. Excuse me. As far as just a well-drafted team in general. So we need to deal with some of those threats. Some of those big threats being something like a Scarf Kurum Black or a Z Kurum Black. Kurum Black and Raichu are his Z users. I don't think I said that. Scarf Jirachi is possible. Scarf Bulu is possible. He can Scarf anything on his team. He's got base 115 as his fastest speed, or what's out for Mega Aerodactyl. Alolan Persian is base 115. So he's got all sorts of good speed tiers, ranging down to 50 up to 150. But we do have some outslowing if we wanted to think about. But in terms of the team that I'll be bringing, the team is going to center around Jafar the Bisharp. Jafar the Bisharp is going to be holding the air balloon with Defiant, Ironhead knockoff Rock Polish, and Sucker Punch with 126 speed, which hits 252 after a Rock Polish. Can't be slowed down by the Sticky Web if he does set it up with the Masquerain. At least with one switch and I can get that up, and that will outspeed a Scarf Jirachi every time. So that is really important. It outspeeds Scarf Kurum every time, outspeeds Scarf Bulu. The only thing that it wouldn't be able to deal with would be a Scarf Raichu, potentially, or a Scarf Persian. But those don't really scare me as much. And I also really don't want to set up on, a Raichu or something like that. It's going to hit really hard. So we are running max attack, and the rest are just getting dumped into HP and defenses as they fell. This thing is great because it resists both of Kurum's stab with the air balloon. It can handle an earth power, so it can't OHKO me with earth power. Fusion Bolt does not 2-hit KO me even. So what he's got to do is click Fusion Bolt on my Rock Polish. Ironhead does about 75%. The alternative being, if the rocks are up, that kills. The alternative being not Rock Polishing, clicking Ironhead on the Fusion Bolt, and then Sucker Punching to KO the Kurum if the rocks aren't up. And we'll talk about those in a minute, but this is the centerpiece of this team, is getting this Bisharp in safely, getting that Rock Polish up, outspeeding the remainder of his threats, whatever they are, and being able to OHKO almost everything on his team. A few exceptions being, obviously, Persian with Fur Coat is stupidly bulky, Azumarill is annoying, and Emboar resists both of my stabs, so I definitely want to make sure I take out some of those threats beforehand. But just about everything else will die to a combination of Ironhead and Sucker Punch, or Knockoff and Sucker Punch, depending on what the coverage I need is. And I do outspeed a Mega Aerodactyl as well, so after that Rock Polish, so I do like that, the way that this worked out in terms of the speeding. Now next up we have Haxorus. Haxorus is going to be back this week, was so close, like 1 HP away from getting a sweep against Melon, getting 4 kills in his first match on the New York Empoleon, but instead doesn't quite get there. So we are going to be rocking this thing again. Literally rocking this thing with the Rock EMZ this week. Mold Breaker, Rock Slide, Earthquake, Dragon Dance, Poison Jab. Mold Breaker is really there only for the Alolan Persian's Fur Coat to do some more damage because I'm not running his Dragon type move this week, so I don't really have the stab. Unnerve would have been nice because it wouldn't have allowed Azumarill to pop its Citrus Berry or something like that. Or a Kurum Black or something like that to pop a Haban Berry, but I don't think he's going to be running that, and I'm also not running Dragon coverage anyway, so I don't have to worry about that as much. Now, he does have the Tapu Bulu. I did consider not going Earthquake this week, but Bulu's terrain isn't permanent, and I really don't see it being as much of an issue that I'm running Earthquake instead of something like Stomping Tantrum, just because the power that I get from Earthquake outside of the grassy terrain is worthwhile in my opinion. Rock EMZ Rock Slide can OHKO a Kyurem Black. It can handle a Mask of Rain, obviously, and be 100% accurate. It can handle Mega Aerodactyl, and so I really do like the fact that Rock Slide, and Rock EMZ Rock Slide will kill a Mask of Rain even after an Intimidate. I don't even think I need the Rock EMZ for that, but again, 100% accuracy. You never know where that's going to be useful. Dragon Dance is there. I already do outspeed Kyurem, but if he doesn't have the Kyurem in there and I can get the Dragon Dance up, I'll outspeed a Scarf Kyurem, which is really nice, and then be able to Rock EMZ Rock Slide that. Poison Jab will out OHKO a Bulu. It'll hit the Zoom Roll for like 75% or OHKO if I get to +1. And then Earthquake is there for things like the Raichu, like the Jirachi, like the Nidoking. I couldn't find a place for Dragon coverage, and I was okay with it with him having 2 different Fairy types on the team, as well as a bunch of things that really are going to be fine, like Persian against a Dragon Claw. So I do think that the ability to get this thing in and hit the super effective move on the majority of his team, since Rock does cover Kyurem as well, the Dragon move wasn't as necessary. Now, 244 speed of the Jolly Nature is enough to outspeed a Kyurem that isn't Scarf, and then otherwise max attack, and the rest just got put into HP just because. So these are my 2 sweepers this week. Everything else is supportive around those 2, as you'll notice. We have Giggles, the Gigalith coming back with the Rocky Helmet and Sturdy, Earthquake, Heavy Slam, Stealth Rock, and Rock Blast. I'm running Rock Blast because I do believe that it is better for me when I have a Ditto on my team to break substitutes than it is for me to click Rock Slide and get a little bit more damage off more reliably. And Rock Blast has come through for me in the past, so I can't really complain about it. Stealth Rocks are great this week, though not necessarily the most vital thing in my arsenal, but I do want to make sure that I handle some of his defoggers and spinners before I try to set those up. Namely something like the Claydol, because Claydol is a pretty free switch into me. It handles basically all of my moves, and then is able to spin pretty freely and set his own rocks up. So I definitely want to watch out for that. But Heavy Slam can really hit Tapu Bulu much harder than anything else would. It hits the Mega Aerodactyl harder, aside from the Rock Blast. Kyurem Black does not appreciate a Rock Blast, and the Stealth Rocks, again, really do like the Stealth Rocks this week, but I don't think if I don't get them up, I will lose the game. I just believe that they do put in a lot of work and put a lot of pressure on his team to not make those switches as aggressively as he otherwise could on my team. Now, it's max defense. It is not going to be running a ton of special investment. I'm really not here to handle special threats. If he does have something like the Nidoking in, and I know that it's special, that is a problem. Nidoking's a problem for this anyway. That's why I'm running the Earthquake, but things like Emboar, if he's running Scald, like, I'm not going to take it well. I know that. But he's got a bunch of physical threats as well. Emboar obviously generally more physical. Mega Aerodactyl's physical. Something like the Kyurem is generally physical, so it could have Earth Power, but Heavy Slam does so much damage to Kyurem that it's generally worth it to me in this case to go for the physical defense to the special defense. And with the Rocky Helmet, things that are trying to run U-turn or something won't be able to do that. So Mask of Rain, for instance, is an interesting option to run U-turn on his team, and Gigalith can handle that pretty well. Next up, we have Tornadus Eye. This is my defogger as per usual. It's going to be running the Citrus Berry with Prankster, Knockoff, Superpower, and Tailwind to round out the set. Very specific EV spread this time. 168 speed, obviously outspeeds his base 100 in Jirachi. Get that knockoff off on Jirachi, does a ton of damage to it. And 148 attack helps out buffing that a little bit. 148 attack helps that superpower do a lot to Kyurem Black. Don't think it quite OHKOs. It definitely doesn't OHKO a Persian, but again, this isn't really an offensive set. It's a little bit bulkier. It's designed to defog a couple of times if it has to, and set up that Tailwind for my Bisharp to not necessarily have to click Rock Polish, and instead just come in and click 3 moves before it needs to click Rock Polish and get the speed boost regardless. Not to mention that speed really helps out my team against Scarfed threats on his team, so the Tailwind's there for that. Defog, because my team does not appreciate Rock so much, just because I do want to be able to bring in the matchup that fits well against his team. And then 180 HP, 4 in defense and 4 in special defense again. I just wanted to make this thing as generally bulky as possible, get as much HP off that Citrus Berry as I can, and otherwise make this a little bit harder to kill. Obviously, yeah, it's not taking a hit from a Kyurem, like, we know that. But it can take some hits from some things pretty well. So it's a pretty good lead, but it's not a dedicated lead, for instance. If I do see some Pokemon on his team, like Jirachi, that I expect to be, Jirachi or Claydol, expect to be setting up rocks, then I will probably lead with my Tornadus. If I see like a Masquerain, then I may not lead with Tornadus, because I want to be able to bring it in later on the sticky webs without worrying about it, and then click Defog a little bit later when I need to get rid of them. Now, next up, we have Venusaur. Venusaur is going to be rocking Earthquake, Leaf Storm, Sludge Bomb, and Synthesis. Yes, I know he has grassy terrain. I know, I'm aware. And so should I be running Earthquake over Stomping Tantrum? Again, you can slam me in the comments if you think that this is a problem, but I think that this grassy terrain is not something that I'm super worried about. It gives my team recovery as well as his team, which he really doesn't appreciate generally. Not to mention it buffs my own Leaf Storm, and Leaf Storm hits his team so hard. He has a few answers to it. Obviously, Masquerain Quad resists it, Emboar resists it, and potentially you've got like a Sapsip or a Azumarill. But otherwise, Leaf Storm is going to rock his team. And between that and Earthquake, we do manage to take out a Jirachi if the grassy terrain is up, which is huge. Sludge Bomb obviously is there for the Bulu, for the Azumarill, stuff like that. It hits the Masquerain much harder. And then, like, Synthesis it's Mega Venusaur. So we are rocking just about max HP. Again, that's just because I wanted an even number of HP for the Synthesis to max out what it's going to do. A bunch of attack investment, but a lax nature on this Venusaur this week. Minus special defense nature. I know that's a little bit bizarre. I don't really have any special tanks, but my bigger fear is his physical threats. I do have to watch out for the Terravolt on the Kyurem Black, because then its Ice-type moves will be super effective against my Mega Venusaur. But I'm not as worried about the Kyurem Black, to be perfectly honest. If it does kill my Venusaur, that's fine. It doesn't kill with an Ice Beam, and from full health, it needs to use ICMZ, and if it reveals that he has ICMZ, then my Haxorus outspeeds it. So that's really important information for me to have anyway. Not to mention, if he is going to try to run ICMZ, and he clicks it, and I do switch out into my Milotic, then he's just blown his ICMZ out on my Milotic. So, Mega Venusaur should be able to handle a bunch of his threats in his team. I really don't see him running a Sapsip or a Azumarill, but he could, expecting Venusaur to be something to handle it, but Azumarill doesn't do anything back to Venusaur, so if he does bring it in, I probably would expect it to be huge power. And if he does bring it in on the Leaf Storm and he hits that, then fine, I'll just click Sludge Bomb in the next turn. He's just not going to do anything to me. I'm just not as worried about it against a Mega Venusaur matchup. And finally, we have Ninian, the Milotic, coming with the competitive ability, because I do worry a little bit about the Sticky Web. And I think that this thing puts in a ton of work this week. Now, I'm running 212 speed, so 128, which outspeeds an Emboar, and it outspeeds a Adamant Tapu Bulu every time. That's really significant to me, in my opinion. In addition, I'm running a little bit of HP and some defensive investment, because I want this thing to be able to take hits from anything. Kyurem Black can't kill, Tapu Bulu can't kill from full with the Rindo Berry, and Ice Beam is a 2 KO on that, so we do have some bulk investment there. Hopefully this thing is able to put in the work I want it to put in, but I actually may change this set slightly. I might make it a little bit slower and a little bit bulkier. Right now I have it set to take a Horn Leech from full, from actually substitute range, so Horn Leech only does 75% with the Rindo Berry, but I might want to switch it so that I can take a Wood Hammer from full, which would require me to put a lot more HP and defensive investment in and take some probably out of speed. Which is fine. I don't mind being a little slower as long as I'm going to outspeed like an Adamant Emboar, for instance. Then I'm not going to worry as much about it. And I think that's where I probably will have this thing sit. But I will update you guys tomorrow with the battle if we do decide to change the set of this Milotic. Regardless, this is the team we're bringing. This has been a long team builder. I'm getting a little bit wordy this time because it's been a while and I miss you guys and I hope you guys are well. The last battle that you guys saw last week was actually recorded 2 weeks prior to that, so it's been like a little break for me in here trying to wait for my opponent and everything to work itself out. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. I hope you guys are coming back for the battle tomorrow. Check out Techno's side if you want to see what he's bringing and why he's bringing it. And I will see you guys for week 9 of the GBA D-League as we go to look to go 7-2 and put ourselves in great position to make the playoffs. We have not confirmed a spot yet for ourselves. There's paths that if we lose out, we don't make playoffs. So I definitely want to make sure I stay in this, keep winning as much as I've been doing, and I hope you guys enjoy. Take care, everybody.